Hey, so what's the best way to develop leaders in your church? Well, from my perspective, if you need more of the right kind of leaders, here's exactly what you need to do. Hey, it's Matt from the Pastors and Preachers Network. Hope you're having a fantastic day. We're talking leadership development today, and I'm going to show you the best way that I know for you to recruit, train, and evaluate every single leader in your church. We are in the middle of a 6-part series. Actually, this is week 5, as we're talking about what it takes for you to be surrounded by more of the right kind of leaders in your church. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, would encourage you to do that because you're going to get every single new episode in this series and in other conversations that we're having about what it looks like for you and me as church leaders to succeed, to thrive, to live faithfully, to lead fruitfully. I'm going to take you back several years ago in the life of the church that I help lead here in Athens, Georgia. And we were in one of those seasons where we were growing a lot, which is always a fun season because you're just seeing more and more people impacted by the gospel of Jesus and seeing people become part of a spiritual family. And it was fun. But behind the scenes, it was stressful because we were growing at a faster rate than we could keep up. There were some things falling through the cracks. We didn't have enough people to show up in certain places, and some of the things we were doing, we were losing some of the consistency that we felt like was important to help people know that they were valuable. We didn't want people to get lost just kind of through the cracks of our systems. And so there's a lot of stress internally. We felt overwhelmed. We were frustrated by things. And so our elders asked me to kind of go, okay, so what do we need to do in order to basically get better at what we were doing? And so one of the things that I found is that we just didn't have enough of the right kind of leaders. And so I want to ask you this, and you can let me know, just on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you with the number and quality of leaders that you have? Just a number. So 10 would be, man, we have more than enough leaders, and they're the best in the world. That's a 10. And if you're like, I think I'm all alone, and I think, no, except for that one person, but they're the worst. And so maybe that's a 1. So scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel currently today about the quality and the quantity of leaders that you have in your church? Let me know that, because that's going to help me just I'm going to jump back in here in the comments and engage with you and see if I can't help you some, or just to come alongside and celebrate with you if things are going really, really well. But in the process of us working through this, one of the things that we discovered was a way that we could increase the quantity and quality of our leaders by developing a system that would allow us to recruit, train, and encourage every single leader in our church. So it gave people an opportunity to get started in leadership. It gave people an opportunity to improve based on times where we come alongside of them and go, here's how it's going. Here's the good and the bad. Here are the things you're doing exceptionally well. Here are the places where you need to grow and improve. And so what we found was when we didn't just approach leadership as just kind of like we have leaders, but we actually began thinking through leadership at different levels, that made a massive difference for us. And there are a few different ways that you can think about leadership levels, but here's how we think about when we go, there are different levels of leadership in our church. We think of that in terms of scope of responsibility. So we talk about level 1 leaders being men and women who are responsible for themselves. It's the realm of self-leadership. And people that are leading at this level are simply showing up and doing work. That's their primary value, that they are doing work. And again, that's a lot of volunteer positions in our church, and would be in your church too. People who are just showing up week after week in different places, in different environments, to be able to come alongside and influence other people in the work of discipleship and following Jesus. So that's level 1 leadership, self-leadership. The primary value there is doing. Level 2 leadership, this is team leadership. This is where somebody not only takes responsibility for themselves, but for a group of people, a team that is working together to accomplish a particular task within your church. And the primary value for team leadership is delegation, because no one person could do the work of the entire team. And so, what you need in that role is you need men and women who can look at the body of work that that team is responsible for and can delegate that out and put that in the hands of other people on the team so that together we can accomplish more than we could accomplish on our own. But you can start to see that different scope of responsibility and how you might need to approach training and development a little bit different between somebody who's just responsible for themselves and somebody who's responsible for a team. So level 1 leadership, self-leadership. Level 2 leadership, team leadership. Level 3 leadership is, for lack of a better term, departmental leadership. And so these are men or women who are usually they're responsible for multiple teams, and they're usually spending most of their time with the leaders of those teams. So what you have is somebody who's not only leading themselves and not just leading one team, they're leading multiple teams by investing in the leader of that team. And so the primary value of a departmental leader in your church is development, that they need to be spending a significant amount of time developing the people that are in their churches, not just merely management and making sure that things are happening well, but you've got to invest in the development of those leaders and helping them grow, particularly in that primary responsibility of delegation. And so now you can see, again, that differing scope of responsibility between just myself or one team, now multiple teams. And so we've gone from self-leadership, level 1, level 2, team leadership, level 3 leadership is departmental, and then level 4 leadership is organizational. These are the men and women who are responsible for the entire organization, that the scope of their leadership covers everything. And so this is certainly sort of lead pastor, senior minister, certain associate pastor positions, maybe an executive pastor who's responsible for everything going on. This is your elder board, your deacon board, depending on your polity. And so these are the men and women who have responsibility for everything. And the primary value for organizational leaders to the entire church is direction. That when we come alongside and go, we're going to go this way, then that's going to be immensely valuable to everybody at every single level. And so that means that when you are trying to create a way to develop every single leader, there's certainly some things that are going to be true for a leader at every level, but you can see that there are different needs, particularly developmental needs, depending on the level that you're at. So what we've found is a concept called the leadership pipeline, and it's something that we're seeing more and more within churches, and I've worked with over 100 churches helping them design their own leadership pipeline, but you see it in the marketplace as well. And basically, a leadership pipeline is a simple and sustainable way for you to recruit, train, and evaluate every single leader in your church. And it's based on taking every role that you have in your church, assigning it to a particular leadership level, and then consistently recruiting, training, and evaluating to that level. So what it does is it keeps you from having to create a brand new way to develop every single role. Certainly not every single person, but now when I'm working with somebody, I'm like, you really only have to create 4 ways of recruiting, training, and encouraging leaders. You need a level 1 way of doing that, a level 2 way, a level 3 way, a level 4 way of doing that. And so when you create those levels of development and you find a way to help people make clear transitions from level 1 to level 2, level 2 to level 3, level 3 to level 4, that visual that you can kind of see, and you can get in the Google machine and type leadership pipeline and you'll see the visuals, when that happens, you're giving yourself the best opportunity to develop leaders. A leadership pipeline is the best way for you to develop leaders in your church. And so the reason why, again, is because it's simple and sustainable. If you can take time to assess what you're already doing and to basically design a blueprint of how you what's required for us to recruit, train, encourage, and evaluate a level 1 leader. Let's take what we're doing, add some things more, but do only the things that are required and just do that, then we're going to win. And that simple process is going to give you the best opportunity to succeed at developing every single leader in your church. Now, I created a resource called Multiply, and it's a 5-minute read. You can go into the video description, you can download it, it's a free resource, and it's going to basically paint the picture for you of what it takes for you to design your very own custom-made leadership pipeline. It's going to help you know how to assess what you're already doing, how to design the blueprint for your future leadership pipeline, and how do you begin constructing that? How do you actually take the first steps to move from idea to reality? So it's a very simple read, and it's going to be something that you can not only use for yourself, but you can put in the hands of other leaders in your church. And so if you need more of the right kind of leaders, you absolutely need to do yourself a favor and download this resource. And when you do that, it's going to basically give you the clarity that you need. It's going to take away some of that stress, the feeling of being overwhelmed because we're just scrambling to get enough people and to make sure that they're doing their job well. It's going to take away the frustration of always feeling like you never know what you're supposed to be doing here. So go ahead and download Multiply and give yourself the gift of 5 minutes of being able to just get greater clarity about what it looks like for you to build your own leadership pipeline, because it's the best way to develop leaders in your church. And before you leave, one other thing that I'd love for you to do would be just to like or share this video with somebody else. If there's a church leader inside your church or outside your church that you think would benefit from knowing about leadership pipelines, then send this to them. Let them know about it. And in the comments below, let me know what's particularly helpful for you. What was it that I said today that's going to help you take next steps towards a better future? And I'll jump in and interact with you. I always love creating these because I love getting to know you. I want to help you. That's why we create everything that we create in the Pastors and Preachers Network. So leadership pipelines, they are the best way to develop leaders. So go ahead and get started doing that, or use that Multiply resource maybe to reinforce the pipeline that you already have. And however it's going to be helpful, I'm glad it is helpful for you, and look forward to continuing our conversation on the next training video that we have. So until then, God bless you wherever you are, and take care. We'll see you soon.